Very warm welcome to today's laboratory session. The subject name is SDL Laboratory. The subject code is 18ECL58. Today I want to discuss the experiment number 3 from the labs. And this particular lecture will focus on the simulation of ALU. So ALU being an important part in any processor which performs all the arithmetic and logical work and thus makes a processor to be called as a computer. So ALU is considered to be one of the important element in any the digital data processing. So today's discussion is based upon how to make a 32-bit ALU using a Verilog code and how to simulate the various operations on this 32-bit ALU. I, Professor Prasanna D. Kulkarni, working as assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication, is presenting this lab lecture series. The contents covered in this today's lecture will have a simulation and for learning the various properties of the ALU design, and for that we'll be using behavioral modeling style, and also we'll be using the case statements. Through this we are going to learn how to make a ALU design, and the learning outcome of this video lecture series is that student will get to know a better understanding on the simulation platforms used for creating different ALUs. As you know, every microprocessor or every microcontroller will have its own ALU structure and design. So how this particular ALUs are created using a Verilog codes will be understood by this particular video lecture series, and also the importance of this ALU in the different computational digital circuits. That also will be discussed in this today's lab lecture series. The contents which were covered in my previous lecture have focused upon a program written for full adders, and also have discussed what is the importance of addition in the digital circuits, how it is performed, and we have studied the various abstractions through which we can write a program for full adders, and also practice some simple programs in the previous video lecture series. This particular topic is based upon the Bloom's taxonomy at level 3, and which is called as applying. So using available information on an ALU design, like we have different gate informations, we have information on the operators, we have information about the various abstractions used in Verilog, and also we have understood the syntax used for the Verilog programs. So through this knowledge, we are going to now simulate and try to find answers to some complex circuits, and therefore this particular lab lecture series is placed at level 3 in the Bloom's taxonomy. So now let us get into the today's discussion of the design of the ALU, and what particular ALU that we are interested to design in, that also going to go for. So as we know that arithmetic and logical unit plays an important role in any processor, as you people have already studied one of the controller in the previous semester, and also observed that ALU is called as the mother of that digital circuit, because that performs the actual computation, and therefore ALU may becomes an integral or an integrated part in any processor design. So any embedded system, when it is doing an processing of data, obviously it should be consisting of ALU, and therefore today's the discussion is based upon how to make these ALUs operational through the Verilog codes. Now we're going to create a ALU of the size of 32-bit, means that this particular ALU is capable of adding, multiplying, dividing, subtracting, or performing any arithmetic operation, even a modulus, on 32-bit data size. Okay, so which is a highly large size data which has been computed on this 32-bit ALU. And also we're going to perform some logical operations such as AND, NAND operation, NOT operation, OR, NOR, XOR, XNOR, and similarly less than, greater than, all shift operations also can be performed under the logical sections also. So based upon the requirement and the need, you can define the different operations for this 32-bit ALU. So all these operations to be clubbed together under one particular program, and that will give you the design of ALU. So now let us get into the simulation of this particular program. Okay, in our Xilinx platform, already have created a program with the name as ALU design underscore 32-bit, and already the program has also been written. I will go through the program, and then we'll understand what exactly this program is doing for us. and I'm intended to have almost some 16 different operations. So based upon your requirement, you can increase this number of operations, but the computation size should be of 32 bits. That is a compulsion, but number of operations can be increased based upon the designer requirement. Now let us get into the program first and try to understand what are different variables which are required for ALU design as such. So I started with a module name as ALU underscore 32, and the different variables which are used are A, B. En stands for me as enable. A and B are my input datas. Okay, and also I'll be using one more data called as scene, because I need for addition purpose I need a third bit also, which I'll be using as scene. And similarly we have an opcode, okay, which is used for our case declaration. Okay, so it depends upon the size of the opcode, the number of cases can be increased. And finally out is an output variable which will be holding the result of the computation. So through this, I think you have understood that A and B will be of 32 bits, which are our data. And similarly, the output also will be 32 bits, and it will be written in the behavioral structure. Okay. So let us get into the program now. First, we'll make out the inputs and outputs from the available parameter list. So as you know, scene and enable, they are single inputs. Okay, they are not vectors. They are single inputs. So therefore, they are categorized under one input. That is input, enable, and scene, as you can observe in this particular line. Second one, A and B are our data inputs. So therefore, they are made as vectors, and I'm using a vector which is a bus 31 down to 0, which indicates that both A and B are of 32-bit size. And similarly, what about our opcode? Opcode is nothing but number of cases that you want to execute. So depend upon the number of cases, the size of opcode can be varied. And now I am doing 16 operations on this ALU, 16 various operations on ALU. So therefore, I'll be deciding that my opcode size is 4, but that is of 4 bits. So therefore, I have declared opcode is also an input for me, and it is of 3 down to 0. And the output which is declared here is nothing but output reg 31 down to 0 and out variable. Out is my output variable here, which belongs to an output port type, and it is a register because it is a behavioral structure. And output is also 32 bit because inputs are 32, output also will be 32 bits. Next, the sensitive list creation under behavioral by using always at. So always at a, b, en, and opcode, any one of these changes. Okay, it is like or operation, a or b or en or opcode. Out of these four, if any one changes, then the program should behave according to the declarations under begin and end. So I'm using the case statement which we have discussed in the previous lecture series for full adders. Using behavioral modeling, we have done the same case structure. Now because it is a single output, so therefore I'll be taking only one, based upon only one input change the cases are declared. But before we execute the cases, I have kept an clause. What is a clause here? Is enable. So if enable is 1, because every processor needs an enable line. If enable is 1, only then these cases gets executed. Okay, all these cases are put under condition enable. If en is 1, only then this complete section will get executed. If en is 0, by default you will come out of the program. Okay, if en is 1, you get execute the program. If en is not 1, you come out of this and you directly go to else statement. So what is there in else statement? It is x values. X value means what? Unknown values. Okay, so if enable is 0, then it will not work as a normal ALU. It will simply produce some unknown values to it. So next, after this, now we are going to talk about the various case operations available to us. That is 4 dash b triple zero. Sorry, 4 zeros, because it is a 4 bit. So the case number 0. Case number 0, it is my requirement that output should be same as input A. That is my need. Processor wants it. So I have defined out is equal to A. Now for 0 1, it is increment of available data. Now for 1 0, output is C. Simply it is B. And for 1 1, it is A plus B. That is my requirement. So you can define any 16 operations on this. Okay, you can define any 16, like I have defined here addition operation. Similarly, you can define even subtraction also. So similarly, you can define here multiplication also, A and B, and here you can see here A minus B. So this is my opcode. For this opcode, my processor should do this operation. But how much size is of subtraction is of 32 bits. Addition is also 32. Subtraction is also 32. Multiplication is also 32 bits. Hope so that you people are getting the meaning of this, what is going on in the processor design. Now even we have negations also because it is a logical operation. So all these were arithmetic operations till here. Okay, now I'm going to do some logical operation, that is inverted b. So we'll get one's complement. And similarly I'm doing a full addition, a plus b plus c in full addition I'm going to do. Next, similarly I want to do a NAND gate, so I'll be doing is a and b bracket inversion. This is nothing but NAND gate operation. Similarly a or b round bracket then negation, now this is called as NOR gate. Similarly a XOR b operation, so inversion to this XOR will give you XNOR operation. Similarly inversion only on a. Okay, next simple a and b, a or b. So 16 different cases are declared here. So suppose you want to have some more operations on ALU, you can add the number of cases by increasing the size of opcode. But what is the overall function is of 32 bits. Whatever is cases which are declared, they all work on 32-bit data, and also output will be of 32-bit size, right? So once this all cases are completed, then I go for end case statement, which will close all these cases. Okay. Next, suppose if enable was 0, then else case get executed. If enable is not, if enable is 1, it won't execute the else case. Okay, it directly goes to end statement. There is the next line is end statement, so the program gets terminated. Yes. So this is how always at the change of A, B, and enable and opcode, this program starts getting executed once again. Any change occurs, it gets executed. So it is like keeping it under a while loop. While one means forever this program should be working, and whenever there is a change occurring in the input variables, the program should respond to them. That is the meaning of always statement. Okay. So we have written a code. I think you have understood that how this particular code is now written and how to increase this. Okay, so it depends upon the size how to increase. Suppose you want to make it a 64-bit ALU, so instead of 31 down to 0, you'll be writing it as a 63 down to 0. Okay, that will make your processor of 64 bits. Are you getting this point? Okay, so this is how ALU program is written using Verilog under behavioral modeling. If the same task is given using any other, for example, maybe arithmetic data flow, I think it will work very easily. Instead of case, I'll be using here assign statement. Assign out equal to a, assign out equal to a plus 1, assign out equal to b. I think that is how same program can be written using data flow also. But if the same program is asked using gate level, there you will have a difficulties because the program becomes now very lengthy, as you need to declare every wire and you to declare every inputs and outputs and interconnections also. So therefore behavioral model is preferred to write this particular ALU design. So now let us get into the program and try to simulate it and see the result. Okay, so the program is already added here. Okay, in the implementation box, fine. Okay, and all the possible changes are also been done. Now my only job is to make implementation of this. Okay, so therefore now I'll go for implementation. So design is also done, AL is also ready, I'm in the implementation. Okay, now my only work is to run the simulation. So I'm doing the checking of the syntax. Okay, so it is showing that syntax error, so therefore just I'll make one small change. As you can see that behavioral check syntax also doesn't give any result if it is doing this particular job. Okay, so next we'll be going for the implementation, and implementation we have already added this project, we have selected all of them, they are configured and it is correct, doing the job correctly. ALU design is also selected. Now to set as a top model. Okay, now I have selected as top model, then I have to go for the simulation platform of this one. So any changes or errors occurred, we need to debug them, and there are no changes or errors, I have to simply go for the execution part of this, right? Okay. Mm, it is resetted once again. Okay, then you have to go for implementation of this. So let us see the execution of this particular program on the Xilinx window. Already I've added a program here, really 32. Okay, the same code which I have executed, and just now we have seen the explanation also of that. And now this particular code is selected as a top module. And once you select this as a top module, now we are executing this particular program. So first I'll go for the simulation of this one. Okay, so when you do the simulation, first it does is a synthesize, and it does all the available placement and routing, and it creates a RTL schematic translations, and finally we get an execution indicating that all the routing has been done. Okay, and also the implement design should happen correctly. Okay, suppose it doesn't happen, then you can rerun this. Okay, rerun all just to check for if there are any errors in the program. If there are warnings, it can be left as it is. Okay, absolutely no problem with this. And synthesize XSC is completed successfully. And if you want to check any errors, you have got a tab here. And if you want to check for warnings, you can see that now there are some warnings generated. Okay, absolutely. So definitely it is showing you that because more than 100% of device resources are used. So therefore it is showing you that significance because the ALU what you're going to design here is of 32 bits. So therefore it is showing you that 100% of resources are being used. So there are only warnings here. So therefore you can observe for this you don't get a green indication because this is already taking more than the required resources from the program. Okay, so therefore and there are no errors in the program, there are only warnings, so therefore you don't get a green indication. So that is absolutely fine, no problem with this. Okay, then we'll go for the simulation also. So going for simulation, double click here and go for the behavioral check syntax. As you can see, the behavioral check syntax is working correctly because the program syntax is correct, and therefore absolutely we don't have any worries, and we can directly go for the simulation part of this. So now let us go to the simulation of this particular program and check out how this program is going to work for us. Yes, so we have got the simulation, and you can see that initial observations like enable, scene, A, B, opcode, and outputs. Fine. Now I'll just make this window a little bigger so that it is easily visible to all of you. Now what I'm going to do here, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll make this enable as 1 because without that program won't work correctly. So provost for constant, and I'll make that value as binary 1 and apply to this. And what shall I take scene? Shall I take scene also as 1 because it is required only for one case. So it is also 1. Now as you know it is 32 bits. Okay, so sometimes it is very difficult to put 32-bit data. Okay, for that if you force a constant, then you have to enter all 32 bits. Okay, so therefore I'll show you one simple procedure here what is to be done when the program numbers are very lengthy. So right click here, then you are having a radix. Earlier we used to go for a force constant. Instead of that, now I'll be going for radix. So in radix, I'll be selecting it will be always at the default position because by default it will be binary. So what I'm going to do here is I'll be using a number called as unsigned decimal. Okay, unsigned decimal because as you know the number conversion, like every one decimal number takes 4 bits in binary representation. Every decimal takes 4 bit for binary. So therefore instead of having 32 binary bits given, I can only give 8 decimal numbers. Are you getting? Okay, because 8 fours are 32. Are you getting this point? So therefore I'll be using a decimal, and it is for our easy convenience. So also you can observe here. Similarly I'll do same for B also. How it is to be done? Right click, click on radix and select unsigned decimal. Okay, unsigned means all are positive, all are positive. So unsigned decimal, and similar I'll keep the opcode, let us keep it same. Okay, or if you want this to be also, I can change it. So radix unsigned decimal, and similarly output also radix, I want the unsigned decimal, right? So you can see all they are shown in a single bit, but internally they are all of 32 bits, but I'm giving them decimal number. So right now I'll force constant. Okay, now instead of binary, I can even force the decimal numbers also here. Earlier it won't take binary, but now it is taking decimal. The only reason because I am selecting here unsigned decimal. I hope so I got the reason why it is now decimal. Earlier it was binary. Okay, now it is decimal number. So therefore I can give any decimal. For example, I give, let us take 500. So this number I want to apply. Okay, so maximum length of this number is 8. You cannot have more than 8 bit, 8 digits. Fine, apply and okay. So A is 500. I'll force now constant. Force constant. Now B is also. I'll take some 1000. Okay, apply and say okay to this. And what is the upcode that you want to perform? Force constant. Okay, now does 16 is a maximum number here. 16. Okay, so I'll take now case number 5. I want to apply case number 5 and I say okay, and I see that enable is done. This is done. This is done. Out is also done. Now I run the simulation. Okay, so 500 into 500 and 1000 opcode is 5. So what is that? 5 is nothing but, so shall we see that what is 5, case number 5? So what is case number 5 here is 101. So what is 101? A star B. What is A star B? Multiplication. So is my machine doing that? Let us check it. Yes, so 500 into 1000. Okay, operation is fifth. This is the fifth operation. And what is the result now? So 1000 into 500. So it has given us 5 lakh. Am I right? Okay, so let us change this. Okay, just for your this force constant, I'll make it 1000. Okay, I'll keep the operation same and I run the simulation once. I am going to get the result. Yes, so 1000 and 1000. So I'll be getting now this number. Am I right? So shall we go for another operations to check out? So shall I go for this A plus B? A plus B is what? 0011, which is nothing but case number 3. So I'll keep the number same. I'll only force the constant. I'll keep the case number as 3. Apply and okay. And I run the simulation. Now you can see that. Now case number is 3. What that case number 3 is going to do? Addition. So 1000 plus 1000 is 2000. So what that ALU is doing is addition. Because your operation is 3. Okay. And similarly, you can perform different operations also based on this. Like inversions and all also can be done. A plus B plus C also can be done. Similarly, you can choose the different cases based upon the requirement placed by you. Okay, right? So you want to check even logical operations, because these all are arithmetic operation. I want to see even logical operations. So for that, shall I go for A and B? Okay, so 1110. 1110 nothing but the number 14. So therefore, I'll keep the case as constant and case number 14. Right. So just apply this and run the simulation. Now you can see this case number 14. So what is this? Logical AND operation. Okay, obviously getting a result 1000 ANDed with 1000. Okay, now don't take it as binary. 1000 is first converted into binary, then it is ANDed. Are you getting my point? Okay, so it is don't directly 1 and 1, you get 1, 0 and 0, I get 0. No, it's not like that. It is a decimal number. Okay, first of all, you have to convert that 1000 into binary, then it is ANDed. Fine. So just to tell you the similarity, I'll just show you that. Instead of 1000, now I'll take 25 only. Right? I'll apply and say okay, and I run the simulation. Now see what I'm getting. 1000 ANDed with 25. So 25 is first converted to binary. 1000 is also converted to binary. The remaining numbers are filled with MSBs are filled with zeros because 25 is smaller. So remaining bits are filled with zeros. Then ANDing is performed. So overall result has generated as 8. So maximum you can perform as 32 bits. You cannot cross that 32 bit limit. Are you getting my point? So you can choose any number, but it is of 32 bit maximum, right? So I think this has given you enough details about the ALU operations, how an ALU also can be created on Verilog, and the different applications of this ALU. We can do a number of operations based on that. Okay, and I can give you one small note also, that we have studied microcontroller programs, and as we have seen, there were opcodes. For example, move, we have used an opcode. So for move, there internally for a machine there is a number. Okay, for us it looks like MOV is a name, but for a machine internally move means some value. That value you can compare with the case value here. Are you getting? Because case number 14, what it does, it performs is logical ANDing. Like that, for every operation, a machine has stored an internal number. Okay, normally it will be in hex code, hex number. So those are called as operational codes. Those numbers are called as operational codes. So therefore, for every architecture, the operation codes will be different. No two architecture will have the same operational codes. I think you have understood the internal meaning of a processor, how this processor does operation, how a machine comes to know what operation how to perform. For a human being, it looks like MOV, but for a machine, that MOV is converted to an equivalent number, and based on that number recognized by the machine, it performs operation. These are all what internal things happen inside the machine, okay, which were not visible to the outside world. Okay, I think this has given you enough knowledge on how do machines they work, how they perform the logical operations, and also they have given you the brief note on these numbers also. Okay, and for your clear notice, you can observe here, okay, the numbers which are being displayed of 32, what all has happened here, how these 32 bits are being taken, where is my opcode, where is the output, that all can be viewed with this particular window. Okay, this is your code, this is your waveform window which has been generated. Like that you can perform different operations on ALU. I think with this note, I say that you people have understood how this ALU is designed using behavioral modeling, and also you have tested the various operations on this ALU. I thank each one of you to listening to this lab lecture series on the design of ALU and the simulation results of ALU. Thank you for attending to this lecture series. Thank you, Ananda.